Alright guys, we need to talk about something. So recently I've been feeling a little bit underwhelmed from the movies that have come out from Hollywood, but who can blame me when a swarm of locusts is like the big climax in the final Jurassic Park movie? That's a whole conversation for another time. But, you know, I was in need of some tender loving care, some joy from films again. So I was sitting at my desk sipping tea dramatically, and Sean comes up to me unveiling this beautiful new Blu-ray he got. I looked at the cover and the first thing that entered my mind is that, yep, it's an anime alright, and I love Japan and Kingdom Hearts, so what could go wrong? I love you, anime. So without any further ado, I am so excited to talk about today's writing masterclass, which is Makoto Shinkai's Your Name. So we nestled down to watch the film, and the sound of anime quickly took over the room as we blasted the soundtrack in a beautiful 5/1 sound mix. The movie starts with this explosive orchestral rock, and it was an anime opening and I was all in for it. So while the movie does start out loud and explosive, what I wasn't expecting was the perfectly quiet moments that scatter throughout the film that quickly brought me to tears. Halfway through the movie, my heart was pounding out of my chest, and I would go on to think about this film for the next week. I even had dreams about this film. And that's how you know it's either a really good movie or that you need to go to therapy. Or both, honestly. Okay, so before I really dive deep into this film, I do want to issue a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Your Name, I highly recommend you go do so. But if you aren't worried about spoilers at all, stick around. So the basic premise of the movie is it's a body swap comedy between Mitsuha, a village girl in Japan, and Taki, a city boy from Tokyo. And basically they swap places, chaos ensues, and they learn to have feelings for each other. So halfway through the film, a comet falls from the sky and destroys Mitsuha's town. Yeah, that was the whole thing, and it was just as traumatic as it sounds. When a film resonates with me so much that I keep thinking about it for days and days on end, I really want to get to the core of it, and I want to figure out what in this movie is so amazing that this story sticks with me, and I want to dissect it in hopes that we can take the lessons that we learned from this movie and apply it into our own writing. And of course, like any good story or piece of writing, good characters is what makes it the best, right? And Mitsuha and Taki, the two leads, are no exception. Shinkai gives both of the characters and location an instant mood by focusing on the details of the world and how each character interacts with those details. One of the most gorgeous sequences in the films is when they are hiking. Taki is in Mitsuha's body, and he is carrying her grandma through a trail and up a mountain to a shrine. And what Shinkai focuses on are the details that could have easily been looked over, but instead he leans on the small nuances of the life and beauty all around. He focuses on small things that everyone experiences universally. Instead of rushing to the next plot point, he takes time to emphasize the sound of the woods, shots of sweat dripping down the character's face, and beautiful images of the sun glistening through the trees. I asked myself, how was this one of my new favorite movies? And then I realized, of course, not only are the visuals and the music absolutely stunning, the thing that sets this movie apart from so many is the perfect pacing, world building, and the silence and awe that it commands. What makes Your Name such a masterful piece and a beautiful film is that he is comfortable and lingering in these quiet moments. While some animation and films have a tendency to kind of brush over quieter moments, to rush to the next plot point or to the next joke, what Shinkai does is he focuses on making every moment in the film matter. Every shot, every setting gives off a certain mood or tells you something about the character. He isn't afraid to let silent moments linger. This method allows you to really live in the world with the characters and lets us experience the world the way that the characters do. The world building in Shinkai's films is amazing. What makes you feel like you're really there is the beautifully constructed B-rolls and cutaways that tell you everything in just a few shots. He doesn't need to go on some diatribe of dialogue about the world. All we need to do is see characters walking along a familiar street. The way the street is lit, the expression on the character's face tells you everything you need to know about the character and the location. Something amazing that Shinkai does is that he has nailed character perspective. We experience the world through the character's eyes instead of the filmmakers. When Mitsuha sees Tokyo for the first time, we see how she perceives it to be. She has always looked up to Tokyo as this wonderful city full of opportunity and cute cafes, so that's the version of Tokyo that we are presented with. Same goes for Taki. He is inspired by the small village of Ichimori, and thus we see him focus on that world and the small details of the town. Taki focuses on small details that Mitsuha may have missed because he's drawing inspiration from the town, and he learns to love the town even more when he starts to get feelings for Mitsuha. This is a fantastic example of when looking at two characters' point of view, we can see the world completely different through their eyes. Each character values different things, and thus they both see the world a little bit different than the other. As the body switching continues, we see that they slowly start to recognize the value and beauty in their own lives by experiencing someone else's. They start to thrive in the seemingly mundane tasks, such as going to work or going on dates or even going to a new school. They learn to love their own lives by experiencing someone else's. The film has an emotional catharsis at the end because we have spent so much time knowing who these characters are through world building and the actions that the characters perform in each other's lives. Through connecting with Taki, Mitsuha transforms and goes through this wonderful character arc, and by the end of the movie, she is able to confront her father, which ultimately leads into everyone in Ichimori being saved from the destruction of the comet. Because of Mitsuha, Taki learns to be more sure of himself, and he finds the courage to fight for the people that he loves. The ending of the film is so beautiful and emotional, because not only do we have a firm grasp on the characters as a couple, we also understand the two characters as fully fleshed out individuals with lives of their own. Each character has their own families and friends and their own way that they interact with those people. When Taki and Mitsuha are finally reunited in the end, there's such a release of emotion because of everything that the two of them have gone through. The 3-act structure is firing on all cylinders, and it's great to see a climax that has so many ups and downs. Okay, so with that being said, I think it's time to talk about the theme of the movie. So the theme of the movie is basically to open your lens to a different perspective on life. The theme is to try and experience the world from points of view that are different than your own and then be empathetic to those points of views. The love that the two characters share at the end is crafted because they learn to love each other's mistakes, their flaws, their friends, their families, and their totally different lifestyle. Another reason that Shinkai's movies are beautiful and that they resonate so well with us is that they make you think way longer after you've watched it because there is so much emotion. Shinkai isn't afraid to rip the characters' hearts out. He isn't afraid of putting characters you have fallen in love with in the worst possible scenarios. When the characters want something, they want it. When Taki pedals up the hill trying to reach the mayor, we see every bead of sweat dripping down his forehead. We see all the little breaths he takes. We see the characters cry, and we understand why they are crying. Shinkai throws his characters against impossible forces of nature that seem unyielding and unchangeable, like fate. Even in the face of nature, time, and the universe, these characters continue to fight back. Even against the inevitable failure, Mitsuha and Taki fight against the unwavering obstacles because their love and empathy is so strong and they need to get back to each other. Shinkai's films are so beautiful because they speak to the raw idea of how strong the human will can be when empathetic and fighting for love. While nature will prevail and continue to flow all around us, Shinkai challenges us to stand up for who we love and what we love, even when every odd is firing against us. Okay, I realize that turned out to be a lot and a little bit of a rant, but I do believe that every aspiring writer needs to watch this movie. And to kind of wrap everything up, I've highlighted a few lessons that we can take from watching Your Name, and we can take these lessons and apply it to our own writing. Number 1. When writing about the world a character lives in, present it from the perspective of that character. For example, Tokyo is painted in this grand and glorious light because Mitsuha has perceived Tokyo to be as such. Taki values his hike in Itomori because he is falling in love with Mitsuha and her world. A world is crafted by a character's perspective, not by the filmmakers. Number 2. When writing dual protagonists, flesh them out as individuals first before putting them together. We care about Taki because we understand what he values, who his friends are, and his own world. The same goes for Mitsuha. When these characters finally get together, we are invested in their relationship even more because we were first invested in them as individuals. Number 3. When making a film or writing, take time and be comfortable in sitting in silent moments. This is the greatest lesson I feel presented by Shinkai. If you're going to present a fall day, focus on the details of the moment. A series of simple images can be more powerful than dialogue and more powerful than just skipping on to the next plot point. Take time with your characters and those small moments that they have. The way someone wakes up, takes the train, or eat lunch, they can tell you more about a character than any explanation or any quickly moving plot point. When we take time to really spend time with the characters and the small things that they do as well, we feel more attached and the characters become more relatable. It gives readers or viewers a sense of living in the character's shoes. Okay, so that's what I kind of have to say about this film right now. These are just kind of my first initial thoughts and everything that I took away from this film. I mean, there is so much more to dive into, but I just wanted to get this video out there so my head can be a little clearer from all the Your Name that has been spiraling in there. So I'm definitely an emotional wreck from this movie, but it was totally worth it. And I'm gonna have to probably take a break from feeling emotions and stories, so probably just, stay clear of the anime for a while. Oh god, here we go again.